With My Time at Evershine set to release in spring 2026, fans have been speculating a lot on what's going to happen in the next game. So here are my top 10 favourite Evershine theories and predictions based on facts, clues, and sometimes even just pure vibes. And yes, we will be talking about Logan and Adit in our top 3 theories. Starting off strong, there's no way we can have a top 10 list without addressing the vampire theories about the mysterious Bachelor Victor. And this may upset some people, but my verdict is not a vampire. I do think he's immortal though, and the reason behind this could be tied into the plot of the whole game. We've heard the name Victor twice in the My Time series, in the form of a man who lives in Atara and of the first builder who lived hundreds of years ago. But Cylvee, how could someone who lived hundreds of years ago still be alive today? Well, our new bachelor is shrouded in mystery, with only glimpses of the back of him being shown randomly in promotional art, and our new settlement is quite literally named after an undying mutated tree. It wouldn't be crazy for both Victor and the tree to have the same mutation that keeps them alive, and it would be kind of trolly for him to turn out to be a normal guy from Atara after all the secrecy we've had surrounding him. There has to be a reason for their decision to not reveal his face. Now, we have seen hints that there are vampires in this universe through exploration in Sandrock and mentions in the Kickstarter. And yes, he also could have somehow been cryogenically frozen with old world tech, but neither of those theories connect Victor to the tree. And based on messages left by the devs in the Discord, I think there is a link between them. We also know that Victor is a legend and a fixer, in line with the stories left behind about Victor the Builder. And he also loves fried leeks with hot sauce, which doesn't exactly scream vampire to me. But I do want to hear your opinion on this. Let me know whether you're team vampire, team immortal, or team cryosleep in the comments. And now, let's talk about the Great Prison Escape and the identities of the missing war criminals. Coming in at number 9, we have the true identities of the war criminals who escaped custody during the prisoner exchange between the good guys, the Alliance of Free Cities, and the bad guys, the Empire of Duvos. There is no doubt in my mind that Duvosian soldier Steve is one of the missing criminals. And I think that the second prisoner could be the man who betrayed us in My Time at Sandrock. Spoiler warning, the Duvosian knight Penn, who infiltrated the desert town for his home country and broke the hearts of many players. But why would it be Penn and not someone else who was arrested? It could be any one of the people caught alongside Steve and Penn, or maybe even someone from another group of prisoners entirely. And in all honesty, we've only got a couple of clues to back this one up. First, Penn himself has told us he intends to break out of prison. And second, the devs have shared that, like Adit, he will end up with a satisfying ending. But we'll be talking more about Adit later. I'd argue that no one would be satisfied with either of these popular bachelors ending up as bad guys. So it only makes sense that Penn will somehow turn on Duvos. And what better way to begin this character development than by escaping from being returned to the country that is rumoured to have experimented on him? But do you think the second missing prisoner is Penn too? Or maybe even one of the other spies from Sandrock? Drop your guess in the comments so we can see who gets it right when the game is finally released. And now let's talk about the location of our new settlement and the very dark history of the ruined town it'll be built on. We're exploring some series-wide lore in this theory, so get ready for a deep dive into the dark history between the Alliance of Free Cities and the Empire of Duvos. The area we'll be building in was populated until a battle occurred some 30 years ago, and we've heard stories in both Portia and Sandrock about what happened during this time. You see, Duvos decided to make a huge power play by taking as much land as they could from nearby territories, and they were successful in capturing 3 major areas. But they failed in their attempts to take over the city-state of Lucian as well. According to a story told by Owen during Sandrock, the final battle happened when Duvos attacked Lucian with a huge moving castle fitted with cannons and guns, something we'll explore more in Theory 6. and this insane weapon was only stopped by the brave actions of a knight who had lost his brother in the fight. When the castle was finally destroyed, it left a crater near a settlement named Lagar, and eagle-eyed fans have speculated on whether we can actually see this crater on the minimap in one of the images shared by the devs. The timelines and locations of these stories in the new settlement add up to create theory number 8. Evershine will be built on or near the ruins of Lagar, and I think we're going to see some mind-blowing Easter eggs around our new settlement. If you've enjoyed my theories so far, you should subscribe to my channel. I'm currently trying to reach 1,000 subscribers so I can make videos like this my job, and it would be really cool if you could join me on my journey. But for now, let's talk about the dark secrets of Vega 5. This city-state is the most questionable place in the Alliance of Free Cities, being cut off from the rest of the Alliance on a sinking ship in the middle of the ocean, and being known for prioritizing scientific progression over the well-being of the people around them. Vega 5 is known to mistreat their orphans, cut funding to artistic programs, and the one researcher we know personally made his lab assistant run away screaming, so the vibes aren't great. And as the research hub of the Alliance, they're in charge of a lot of top secret projects, which introduces us to theory number 5. Vega 5 is doing dodgy experiments. We've already heard rumors about enhancements made by Duvos to Pen. We know some Vega 5 researchers are willing to do questionable things in the name of progress, and with many people leaving the city due to it sinking faster and faster into the sea, we're definitely going to learn a lot of information about what's going down on that ship. But what do you think of Vega 5? Are they as shady as they seem, or are they just misunderstood? I'll be replying to the comments below, so make sure you let me know. For now, let's talk about the biggest enemy in the My Time series. Duvos' own dodgy research led to the creation of that giant castle weapon we talked about before, and they've been present in each of the My Time games as the big bad who wants nothing more than to destroy our homes for good. Which brings us to theory number 6, the Empire will return with a bigger weapon than we've ever seen before. We've already been betrayed by spies, attacked by pirates, and hit by full-on invasions, all while Duvos quietly stockpiled dangerous old world relics, including starship engines which are big enough to power weapons of mass destruction. And I think it's very possible we'll be seeing the return of the castle weapon known as the Dreadnought in the new game, or maybe even something bigger. And there's no telling what kind of damage this will do to our young settlement. But there's no way Duvos is going to be our only threat. Not when someone on our side might be so blinded by revenge that they get everyone we care about in trouble. Imagine that you have fought your whole life against an oppressive regime hell-bent on stealing everything from you and all of your loved ones. Then, all of a sudden, you're in charge of protecting a new settlement in a highly dangerous area, and one of your new neighbors is a literal war criminal that you arrested 3 years ago when he invaded and occupied a town on behalf of your enemies. This is what reality looks like for Commander Avery of the Northern Rangers, and coming in at number 5 is his long-planned revenge against the Empire of Duvos, and more importantly, how it'll affect our new settlement. The reason behind Avery's vendetta is unknown. As a military commander, he's definitely lost people during the many battles he's been in, so it makes sense that he wants justice to be served. And so far, he's followed orders and stayed professional, if not a little cold, despite disagreeing with his superiors. But with Steve joining our settlement and Duvos wreaking havoc on the border, something tells me he's going to do something that jeopardizes our safety entirely. But I want to know your thoughts on this. Do you think we'll see Avery pushed to the edge with tensions ramping up around the border? No matter what, we know for sure that he won't be the only person causing problems in Evershine, because now we're going to talk about the pirate crew known to us as the Sky Sharks. Falling just outside of my top 3 favorite theories is number 4, the The Sky Sharks are going to be the clear-cut antagonists of my time at Evershine, and here's my reasoning for this. Our new settlement will be built in an incredibly hazardous area full of dangerous animals and even bandits, and there's no doubt in my mind that they'll be an absolute pain to deal with. But the trailer and the Kickstarter art are so heavily focused on the Sky Sharks that I would be shocked if they weren't a huge part of the plot in Evershine. We can clearly see second Captain Everglade holding her own wanted poster in the trailer, and she's the biggest character shown on the promotional art, facing away from the main cast of settlers we know of, a fact I want you to keep in mind for my top 3 theories. The devs have also teased a lot of information about Everglade. The woman we know infiltrated Portia to steal old world tech on behalf of Duvos, and fans believe that her crew is in possession of the mysterious book we saw in the trailer, containing what looks like a treasure map. This could be the reason they're coming to Evershine. We have a giant mutated tree which never dies and is potentially giving a full man eternal life. There's no way that isn't treasure in the eyes of their crew and Duvos. But this isn't my only theory about the Sky Sharks. And Logan fans, I think you'll love the next one. But before we move on, we've hit the subscriber checkpoint. Only 2.3% of my viewers are subscribed to my channel, and my goal is to grow that percentage as much as I can in the next week. But what would you get out of subscribing to a channel like mine? Well, if top quality videos aren't enough, I promise that if I hit 700 subscribers in the next 7 days, I'll live stream a full My Time playthrough. Whether that's Portia or Sandrock is up to you to decide. It'll be a great time for anyone looking to catch up on the game's lore before Evershine is released, but with that said, let's talk about Logan. Coming in at number 3 is the true reason Logan's mother left all those years ago. She's actually a sky shark, and there are a few reasons why I believe this. During our time in Sandrock, we were introduced to Carmen in her wedding picture, and we found out that she'd left her family without warning a few years after Logan was born. In the Love Chronicles DLC, we learn about her unusual understanding of various weapons, and can see that she very clearly cares a lot about her son. So what if the real reason Logan's mother left wasn't because she stopped loving her family, but instead because she was trying to protect them? I believe that she left her husband and son to join her other family, the Sky Sharks, who have a strong genetic resemblance with their silver white hair. In the trailer for the cancelled game Project Me, we can see the Sky Sharks looking down on Evershine, and the woman on the ship seems to be hiding how shaken she is by what she sees. Considering Logan will be visiting Evershine, hiding her shock at seeing her long-lost son would make a lot of sense, and it would back up my bonus theory. Carmen will finally choose her son over her duty to the family she was born into, which will cause a massive rift to form between her and her crew. The question is, will we see the Sky Sharks split up during Evershine, or do you think it will happen behind the scenes as the next game is developed? This theory actually makes me feel really sad, so I hope we get to see a reunion between the two. If you also want to see them back together, drop a like on this video so it reaches more My Time fans, and we can all show the devs how popular this kind of scenario would be. But with Logan's ma turning her back on the Sky Sharks, it's likely we'll see someone on our side turn their backs on us. But who will that person be? Let's talk about the most popular upcoming bachelor in My Time at Evershine and how I think he's sus. Lovers of this red-headed bachelor will hate me for my number 2 theory. Ragnar is secretly a bad guy. I know so many people love him, but he has bad guy energy. The only information we know about him is that he's a fun adventurer who may or may not be a ranger, but the lack of crumbs hasn't stopped fans from picking out the few visual details we can see in images of him, like his engraved dog tags and his fishy tattoo. His dog tags look like they have some kind of crossbow on them and could be identification for a military group, or maybe even the adventuring guild known as the Flying Pigs. But when we look closer at his right arm, we can see this tattoo which looks a lot like a shark. It would be wild if Ragnar was part of the Sky Sharks, but it wouldn't be the first time we've been betrayed by an ally. And Ragnar's silhouette looks very similar to the mysterious bandit gang we've seen shared by the devs. They both have the tucked tucked-in boots, the half-up long hair, the same color scheme, and on top of that, do you remember how I said the directions each character is facing is important? Well, Ragnar isn't looking the same way as the rest of our settlers, and is actually looking in the same direction as Everglade and the other people I think are bad guys. But do you think Ragnar could secretly be a bad guy? Or are all of these visual clues just red herrings? If you think I'm wrong, type innocent in the comments so I know. But for now, let's talk about my next controversial take. This is the theory that might break the fandom in half. What is the true identity of the Rogue Knight? Well, I believe it is Adit. Now, I didn't come to this decision lightly, and originally I fully believed it wasn't really him. But then I started looking into it, and it isn't looking good. First of all, the Rogue Knight looks like Adit, even with the mask and armor concealing his identity. Second, he disappeared at the same time as the Rogue Knight, and was last seen when the flying pigs cornered him outside of Highwind. And third, I believe we saw him very briefly during our time in Sandrock. After Elsie returned home from training with Panna, we saw an image of an unknown man who I believe is Adit. The only difference is the angle of his eyebrows, which could have easily changed due to his expression becoming a lot more serious. But the biggest clue of all is in the speed drawing of the promo art, where the reference used to draw him is practically identical to the Adit we saw in Portia. And again, he's facing away from our settlers whilst being positioned right next to the Sky Sharks, known associates of the Rogue Knight. Also, Panna has been hurt and wears her mask for an unknown reason. Could that reason be a betrayal by someone she thought was her friend? There's just too many clues pointing towards Adit being the Rogue Knight. If you agree, type Adit is sus in the comments, or share with us your reasons if you disagree. One thing is for sure, Adit turning out to be just a scapegoat would be a huge twist in the story. Let me know which theory you think is most likely by leaving the number from 1 to 10 in the comments, or tell me if you've got a new one I missed. I read and reply to almost every single comment, and I love hearing other ideas, so don't hold back. If you're still hungry for more My Time content, click here for my other commentary videos, and hit subscribe so you don't miss out on the My Time at Portia and My Time at Sandrock gameplay videos I'll be posting very soon. See you in the next one.